welcome everyone who's watching, listening, or whatever you're doing in the bath, shower, whatever, to VIP Boxing's Bell to Bell podcast. I think we're on about episode 68. We're having a week off next week because I'm on holiday, and I think we've done these non-stop for, John was just reminding me, since Christmas. So we'll have a week off. Anyway, as always, we ask you to leave a review if you can, wherever you watch or listen. That really helps us. You know me, Steve, and you know my co-host, John Evans. Tonight, real boxing man. He's been on the pod a couple times. Former fighter, trainer, manager, matchmaker, promoter. What doesn't he do? He never gets stressed. He's always relaxed. He's absolutely ultra relaxed tonight after David Avanesyan's win. It's Carl Greaves. Carl, thanks for coming on, mate.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, so like life treating you well. You look like a motor racing driver. All those sponsors on you. That means you must be successful in life.
Yeah, life's good. Yeah, I'm enjoying life, but it's like you say, it's very stressful. It's a very stressful job, boxing. You know what I mean? People don't realise what stress you go under, but I won't change it for the world. I'm used to it now.
And I tell you what, you wouldn't, because that small show you put on the other week in Newark, in your hometown, was an incredible night. I mean, 1,200 people in that hall, all round tables, just knocking back boos, and everyone was there from the first fight to the last. It weren't like York Hall where 600 are watching one fight at 3 o'clock, 200 are watching one at 5 o'clock, 800 are watching one at 10 o'clock, and it's still sold out because they're all in the pub, the Dundee Arms. Everyone was there, mate, and it was a fantastic night.
Yeah, I was really pleased with it, especially in my hometown, to sell it out as well. And it was a good show. The production, obviously, with Fight Zone and having all you guys there, and you know what I mean. And there's some good fights on as well. So I was really pleased with that show.
I like the look of your kid, James Richardson. I like him a lot, Carl. I think you've got someone there who might be a very decent pro. I mean, I know Kevin McCauley is at the end, but over 4 rounds, it wasn't good to watch the last round as he let loose on Kevin there. He looks a really good fighter, and I was very
talented.
Impressed by your lightweight on his debut. Got that kid out the way.
Yeah, I managed to get him in the boxer tournament. Can't believe it. He's only had one fight. Yeah, I've got him in the tournament on Sky on April the 16th. He's buzzing about it. He's only had one. So, listen, he's a bit of a dark horse.
He can whack a bit. He can whack.
Yeah,
he's one of those kids who's either going to get done in the first fight there or go and win it. That's what he strikes me as.
Yeah. Let's hope he goes and wins, eh? What a story that will be.
Hey, Carl, because you do all these different roles now, and we saw you on Saturday. We'll talk about it in a minute with Avanesyan in a big fight, big high-profile fight. When it's all said and done, when you're posing for your pictures with David, or when you sit down and have a drink after one of your own shows, which gives you the most pleasure these days? What do you take the most pleasure and pride in? Completing one of your own shows or being involved at a big level like that?
Yeah, you know what? After I've got them nights out of the way, whether it's promoting or obviously a fight that you've trained in a big fight, I'm just worn out, mate, by the time it comes to the end of it. You know what I mean? I just want to go to bed. Like, I went back to the bar in the hotel on Saturday night, had a couple of drinks and was ready for bed. Like, you know what I mean? It knackers me out, but I get a buzz from all of it. You know what I mean? Especially if I've had a good show, and then obviously if my fighter's done really well in a big fight, it's no better buzz. You know what I mean? It's stressful leading up to it. People don't realise what you go through. You know what I mean? Obviously training a fighter, the preparation, the work that goes into it, but then obviously nights like that make it all worthwhile.
Yeah. All right then. Well, Carl, we're gonna crack on now. John, you got your bell, your clock, and everything ready. We're gonna go through 6 rounds straight off in 18 minutes. We're gonna let Carl have an early night and make some matches, whichever he's got to do. You ready, John?
Ready when you are. Off you go.
All right. First round, over to you to start us off, Carl. King David, your own man, David Avanesyan.
Yeah, I mean, obviously. He had a routine defence of his European title, really. I mean, the kiddie box was 15-0. We've had a bit of stick over the opponent, but I watched him. He looked lively. He looked ambitious, and he come and had a go. And he was brave enough to get in there with David. People don't realise that we've offered so many people the fight, you know what I mean, for the European title, and he was the only one willing to accept the challenge. It's all right, people on social media slagging us, saying, what you're doing fighting level of opposition like that. You should be pushing on for a world title. But they don't realise it's so difficult at the moment, the situation we're in with David. You know what I mean? He got ordered for WBC final eliminator. Neil Marsh's manager went out to Mexico. He got the fight ordered with him and Virgil Ortiz. Virgil Ortiz takes a different route, goes on to want to fight Michael McKinson for the WBO eliminator, which unfortunately fell through for him because he come down with an illness. So we're left with nothing, you know what I mean? What do they want David to do? Have no fights, no activity, and been stuck on the shelf? He's got to fight. He's got bills to pay, you know what I mean? He needs to keep active. So he took what was offered, you know what I mean? And he took him out in a round. Listen, it is what it is. He's wiped the floor with all the European opposition, whether it was Josh Kelly, Kerman Lujaraga, you know what I mean, Liam Taylor, Del Rio. He's gone through them all, you know what I mean? It proves at David's world level, he's well above European level. But at the moment in time, we can't do anything about it. We've just got to fight what's put in front of us until we get that opportunity. I mean, the WBC need to get the figure out, really, because they need to order someone, David. Once Virgil Ortiz decided to take another route, they should have ordered someone, and they haven't yet. You know what I mean? We've looked at the latest ratings. Keith Thurman's number 3, David's number 2. So let's get that fight ordered. You know what I mean? Keith Thurman and David Avanesyan for a final eliminator. I mean, it's very frustrating. And when you listen, reading social media and that, and all these people with a voice on there and giving it the big end, they ain't got a clue about the game and what we're going through. You know what I mean? We're only fighting who's put in front of us, and this is all we can get at the moment. Until we get the big fight, we'll just keep doing what we're doing. David's got to keep active. Simple as that.
Yeah, dead right. And Virgil Ortiz, he's going to be out for a while, isn't he? He might even end up moving up in weight after hearing what that illness was. So that clears, at least it clears an obstacle, doesn't it? And if Thurman's below you and he turns it down, the WBC will have to go to number 4, number 5, and eventually...
Unless they just order David as a mandatory now. I mean, we've done our job. I mean, we've defended the European title 5 times, you know what I mean? He went out to an hostile Bilbao and ripped the title from Kerman and Jaraga in 9 rounds, went back and did it again in a round. And then people slagging opposition. At the end of the day, what do they want us to do? You know what I mean?
Good rant to start us off this week. Round 2, Hamza Shiraz. I thought that performance the other night against Jez Smith was outstanding. I thought he's, you know, look what happened in the Bradley Skeet fight happened. He wasn't great. He may have lost. Who knows? You know. But we've seen Brad Ray with a string of great performances. You know what? And that middleweight division now is bubbling up just nicely behind Felix, Cash and these guys. You know, Fowler, you know, Jimmy Kelly had a big win in America against Kana Islam. We can't forget that. You got River Wilson Bentley, English champion. Danny Dignam, you know, Bentley against Udofia coming up. I just thought that performance the other night from him was exceptional to get Jez Smith out of the way. I mean, I expected him to win the fight, but I thought it was going to be one of those stoppages in 7, 8 rounds, that sort of thing. I thought it was exceptional, and I only saw highlights. I didn't listen, and I spoke to Bunsey today, and apparently he said this afterwards, and I was thinking this guy isn't finished growing. He could be a super middleweight in a couple of years. I just want to get your opinion, particularly you, John, because I know there's Brad Ray as well out there who you know so well.
Yeah, we know Brad well, don't we? But I've spoken to Hamza quite a lot recently. He's a good lad, Hamza, isn't he?
Yeah, he is a terrific fella.
When he went back to Los Angeles, I think we spoke about it. He said rather than training himself into the ground, thinking he had to put things right after what happened with Bradley, he went the opposite way. He calmed it all down. He picked better sparring partners, did the weight, moved up a weight and did it properly. I thought he looked great, didn't he? Quite often, if someone puts in a bad performance and we blame it on the weight, sometimes you can take it with a bit of a pinch of salt, can't it? It's a ready-made excuse. But Hamza looked like a genuine middleweight, didn't he? And maybe the Bradley Skeet thing was to do with weight, but God, he looked like a frightening prospect, didn't he? And like you said, he's going to be a super middleweight sooner or later.
Yeah, I mean, how he used to make light middle is unbelievable. He's massive. I mean, obviously, I was with him at the weigh-in and at the press conference and that, and stood near him, and I couldn't believe the size of him. You know what I mean? And I knew as soon as he moved up in weight, it'd be a different kettle of fish. It'd be a different level, you know what I mean? And he's proved that. He's kept his power. He's moved it up with him. So he's going to do big things. I like him.
Yeah, I mean, usually boxers, they go up in weight. It takes a year to grow into the weight. He already looks like, he's having to get down to the weight. I thought it was a really big performance, and I'm really excited for the domestic middleweight division again with these unbeaten young guns and guys, like Fowler, Jimmy Kelly around. I think it's a really good division now, domestically once again, and improving. Round 3, over to you, John. Michael McKinson. I'm glad you picked this topic. It was my third choice.
Yeah, what a shame for Michael McKinson. He was on a shot to nothing, wasn't he, against Virgil Ortiz? His stock could only have risen, I think, against Virgil Ortiz. I don't think Mike's the type who got blown out, and he would have put in a good performance. Yeah. Ortiz would have come for him. It would have suited McKinson's style, and we might have got something out of him. It would have been a tough fight, but I think we could have seen flashes of what he could do. In the end, he got messed around, didn't he? Ortiz pulls out, he gets opponent after opponent, and then ends up in a stinker of a fight with Martin, which didn't help him at all. And I was just wondering, the gamble taking Ortiz, which would have been good payment, exciting fight against a big name, will that backfire because he didn't look good against Martin? He didn't show his style. Will American TV and Golden Boy look at him and think, oh, we're not having him back? Fair play to Mike for keeping his eye on the game and winning and pulling it off and keeping that record. But, where does he go now? I've heard some of the opponents who are looking at matching it in with now, and there were guys from the undercard on Saturday. And all of a sudden, those names like Ortiz aren't being talked about. And through no fault of his own, I just wonder if what was a gamble and a shot at nothing with potential massive rewards might end up being bad for him in the long run.
John, I'll just have to pass to Carl because I agree. My thoughts are the same as yours. And I think the biggest disadvantage he's at now is he's going to be a TV turn-off in America through no fault of his own. I don't know what you think, Carl, because I could only echo what John said.
Yeah, it was frustrating for him, wasn't it? I mean, obviously, I was over at the show on Saturday night, and on Friday I was hearing all sorts. Obviously, Virgil Ortiz out. Then they got another opponent that turned out up 30 pound overweight one, and then they drafted somebody else in. It must have been awful for the kid. I mean, fair play for keeping his mind and wanting to still fight, you know what I mean? But I've not seen the fight, but he hasn't got an exciting style, has he? You know what I mean? Anyway, and it's like you say, it's just not gone down well, has it? And it's frustrating for the kid because it was a massive opportunity for him. I mean, I personally think he probably wouldn't have gone 6 rounds against Virgil Ortiz. Or I'd have wished him well and hope he did really well. But It was a tough task for him, I think. And with his style and not really a puncher, he didn't want a good fight at all. And he didn't get good commentary, did he? So I feel for the kid, to be honest.
Yeah. Even if he'd got done off Ortiz in 6, if you put up a brave performance, Carl, and show glimpses, opportunities come from that, don't you? You become a marker for the next group. But the fight he got and the performance and he performed like Mike McKinson, but it wasn't friendly to watch. And all of a sudden, he might have gone from people looking at him, attempting to use him as a gauge next time, to thinking, stay away from Mike McKinson.
Round 4, Carl, you had a nice rant in your first one about David Avanesyan, but tell us about life as a matchmaker at the moment. Something you wanted to talk about?
It's just so tough, so frustrating. You try and make good matches. You've got trainers knocking matches back. You've got managers knocking matches back. And then you get crucified on Sky, whoever you're matching for, saying, oh, these are bad matches. But it's not your fault, you know what I mean? You're trying to make good matches, and obviously up-and-coming kids are a little bit different. You've got to give them a bit of slack because obviously you need to build them, you know what I mean? You can't expect them to be fighting top opposition straight away, you know what I mean? But it's just so tough making matches at the moment and making the right matches and getting matches accepted, and it's frustrating, you know what I mean? And then you're getting pull-outs last minute and you're trying to, you know what I mean, get matches made, and it's just tough, Steve. You know what I mean? Really tough at the moment. And I thought things was going to get better, but they're not. They're getting worse, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you know what? It's funny you say it while you were speaking there, Carl, and I'm sure John will recollect this. about September, we had John Pegg on, another great boxing man, like yourself, just entrenched in the sport and grass. And John asked him when it was going to get better, the situation, because in September, you still never had a lot of the journeymen hadn't bothered with their licenses because they didn't want to waste their money. They didn't know. And he was speaking so confident about, well, by November, we'll be getting back to normal, I think. But it just seems absolutely worse. I mean, I was talking to a journeyman the other day and he was explaining why he refuses fights on a Sunday, because it means he can't fight the following Saturday. I heard of another journeyman the other day making a promoter give him another 400 quid to box on a Sunday, because it means he couldn't get a job if it come in late the following Saturday. It's just crazy. I don't know any anecdotes you've heard of, John, or anything?
There's just too many. There's just not enough away fighters as well. They all want to be home kids, you know what I mean? There's just not enough away fighters, and you're all fighting against each other to get these away fighters week in, week out, and it's just so tough. You know what I mean? You bring a lot of foreigners over now, and a lot of them are getting knocked back. But even when they're getting them past, I mean, they're not the matches you want, really, to be honest with you. But we're having to make the best of what we've got. You know what I mean? It's very tough, very, very tough.
John, what's your...
I've only got 20. I was going to ask Carl a question then. With everyone wanting to be a home fighter, come back to it afterwards, Carl. Have a think about it.
Yeah.
How many of these unbeaten kids do you think actually want to be fighters, and how many of them just want an unbeaten record? We'll come back to that one at the end of it.
All right.
Yeah.
We've run out round 5. This is one I want to talk about. I'm getting concerned about again. It's the TV show congestion, and I just don't know what the answer is, whether the board can do something or what, because I'm just worrying where it's all going again. On this Saturday, we got DAZN and Sky clashing, plus there's quite a lot of small hall boxing around Britain this week. And, you know, and that just has a domino effect all through the game. It dilutes the TV audience. And there'll be people who won't go out to their local small hall show to watch a mate box because they'll have DAZN on their laptop and Sky on their telly. And, you know, I just wish the board would do something about this, or promoters, you know, would get together and just thrash out dates. And obviously you're going to have the occasional day clash, but I was looking at potential day clashes, and there's one on the 16th of April. You've got BT with Jason Cunningham in Telford on a show there, Frank Warren's show. DAZN's got Conor Benn in Manchester, and you've got your Sky Boxer show, and it's just no good for anybody. Any of that. The audience is just going to be totally diluted.
You've missed a massive one. Zach Parker against Demetrius Andrade at Derby County, and DAZN have gone the same night with Buatsi against Richards.
Oh, I didn't know that.
When was that announced?
Today.
I've been travelling. I've been with Carl's Boxers and Sheffield. I didn't know that. That is absolutely nuts. And I just think the board have got to look. The board can't make promoters. You know, they're not going to do it. They never would. But I think broadcasters, promoters, have got to get together, because the fans are suffering it. You would never get 3 Premier League matches kicking off the same time at night. It's absolutely nuts. The only time in football where you get the same kickoff times in the Championship and the Premier League is the last game of the season. So there's no unfair advantages. You don't know what's happening at other clubs. That's the only time it happens. And I just think it's so unfair on the fans, and it doesn't do the TV any good down the long run, because the bosses there will look at what the viewing figures are, and when advertisers look at the viewing figures, they won't spend money on that during those slots.
Yeah. Plus, you've got Pro Bellum, you've got MTK, which you've got shows on streaming every...
MTK, Pro Bellum,
Fight Zone,
Fight
VIP.
Zone are doing bits, you know, other promoters, you know, Pat Barrett's putting his shows on live, Steve Wood does the occasional one. I don't know what you think, Carl. I mean, obviously, you're in a tricky situation because you work, you know, you're with a TV platform in Sky.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm the matchmaker, you know what I mean? I don't have a lot of say on anything else, really, you know what I mean? But it is frustrating when you're getting big shows the same night, you know what I mean? Because it's affecting audiences, it's affecting the TV ratings, and it's just not good. Like you say, they need to sort something out. I mean, I'm sure I heard at one stage that they weren't going to go the same night as each other.
Yeah.
But
Eddie and Frank were talking about that last year.
Yeah, but that, yeah.
Anyway, well, that's something. I mean, anyway, round 6 is. I know this is. I guess John will come up with this one. Kiko against Josh this Saturday.
Yeah, big fight. It's probably a fight that's got better over the years. In fact, you know, given Kiko's form and Josh's decline, when we first fought 5 years ago, it was seen as like just beating a name on the way up. Who could have predicted that the careers would have gone the way they have? It's crazy, isn't it? I suppose Josh now and Kiko, they're both in the position where every fight is last chance saloon, isn't it? You know, if Kiko turns Josh over, I don't think Josh should be wanting to start from the bottom and work his way up. No. And if Kiko loses, it's going to be the end of Kiko, you'd imagine. I'm not sure Kiko would want to become a trial horse. I think it's got all the ingredients for an absolute cracker. You know, Josh is expecting... When the fight was first agreed, just before Christmas, I rung up Josh and his first words out of his mouth were, my ribs are aching already and my hands are hurting already. So he knows exactly what's coming on Saturday night. I just think we're going to get a real crowd-pleasing fight. Fingers crossed, Josh gets it done and he can go on to these unifications. We all wish we'd seen him in 18 months ago. But that right-hand Kiko through against Kid Galahad, you can't count him out, can you? I can't wait for it. I think it's going to be a real good fight, a real good show, and let's see.
I think Josh... Sorry, Carl.
I was going to say, I can't believe Kiko's still at that level. It's unbelievable. I can remember the days he was fighting Rendell Munro, you know what I mean? At the old he had. It's crazy, you know what I mean? Fair play to him. I mean, he keeps himself in fantastic shape, doesn't he? You know what I mean? He's like a little tank, a little bull, and he can proper punch, but Harry's come back because he's been down, you know what I mean? He's been back up, he's been down again, now he's back again. It's remarkable. Fair play to him, you know what I mean? You've got to take it off to him.
You know what? I just love the fight. It can be one of those. They fight for the second time. I think it goes the distance. I think Josh can win on points. I don't think Josh will knock Kiko out. I mean, Josh won a grueler the first time, and that was almost 5 years ago. It could be one of those where they finish on Saturday night and had 24 rounds between them, and there's not been a bad 3 minutes in 24 rounds. Yeah. That's the sort of fight it is. I mean, and as you say, Kiko's the sort of guy, I think he would even go back to European level, because all he knows, Josh, I think if it went wrong, he'd walk away, because it isn't just about becoming a two-time champion. Josh is after that ticket to a unification, you know. I don't know, whichever that's going to be. You would have said the Lee Wood fight would be the nailed on unification, but that's not as certain now, because Conlon Wood's a bigger fight, even if they keep that on the back boiler till the end of the year. It's just, as you said at the start, it's nuts to think that Josh would beat him 5 years ago, and Josh would then become a world champion and need to beat Kiko to win another world title. It's just the beauty of boxing. I mean, we moan about, you know, things that are all wrong, the matchmaking, and, you know, people having a go at David Avanesyan when he's just holding off, you know, McKinson's gamble. But this is what makes it so beautiful, sort of scenarios like that this weekend.
People seem to think, oh, Kiko, you know, 5 years ago, he was past it 5 years ago and all this. Do you know, since he lost to Josh, he's only lost to Gary Russell Jr.
So he stopped him in the 6th, didn't he?
And Zelfa. And he'll go to his grave saying he beat Zelfa. So since Josh beat him 5 years ago, the only loss on his record, really, is Gary Russell Jr. That's crazy.
Remarkable. He's remarkable, mate. You know what I mean? Yeah. What a man. What a man, eh? Fair play to him.
No, I'm a big fan. You going there Saturday, John?
Working at Pat Barrett this weekend.
Oh, yeah, well, I'm on holiday, so I'm not at Pat's this weekend, mate. You know? All right,
I'm back at Wembley. I'm back at Wembley.
Mate. You got a permanent... the rumour is at Wembley, they have the Carl Greaves suite on the top floor now. And you have your own rooftop bar,
Sunday afternoon. I left Sunday dinner time and I'm back Thursday morning.
Yeah.
And I'll leave Sunday dinner time again.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you're smiling after you told me you had a stressful day, Carl, and of course Nottingham Forest got beat, but of course they could still go up, mate. So
it was unlucky yesterday, very unlucky.
I didn't see the game. I heard.
I took my little lad, bless him, and he was sobbing. He was sobbing his heart out.
It's like the Carl Greaves. It's like the Carl Greaves boxing gym, because what's his name's next year as well? You're number 2 who trains the kids with you.
Who, Adam?
Yeah, he was there with you the other week. I saw a picture.
Oh, he was there the other week. Yeah, I took him the other week. Yeah, I got a season ticket, so I'm allowed a few on it, like when it's big games. But they didn't allow any extras with the Liverpool game. We could only have just me and my lad. Like, we didn't get any extras. So, but what an atmosphere! You know what I mean? Unbelievable.
How many years is it, Carl, since they were in the top flight, Forest? I was trying to remember.
It's a long time now, isn't it? I can't remember. Yeah, it's a long time. We need to get back in there. We're playing brilliant. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know,
Cooper's done a fantastic job. Job. Fair play to him.
I went there early this season when Fulham got 4 against you. And it was one of those games that could have been 5-4 to Forest. It was a mad game. Yeah. It was a four-goal win that never was. But the problem I think Forest have got, Carl, they've got the maddest schedule coming up. I was looking at their fixtures the other day. In April, they're every midweek and every Saturday or every weekend. It's mad because they got the Fulham game as well, and they got to go to Fulham in that period. They got so they got a mad schedule coming up, which is really tough after the season they've had. Is it a step too far from? But there you go. That's our bit of football comment for the week. Carl, thanks for finally coming on. We'll get you on again in a few months, mate. John, thanks as always. Thanks everyone for watching, listening, and we'll be back in 2 weeks. I'm off sunning myself, so see you all later, and thank you.
Thanks a lot, lads. Thanks for having me on.
For all boxing info, news, and latest interviews, amateur and pro, across the north, click and subscribe. VIP Boxing Promotions. Also, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.